Let's take you back to that top story now and events in Ukraine. Graham Allison is director of the Belfer Center at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government. He's on the line now from Belmont, Massachusetts. Thanks very much for your time. Good to talk to you. There is a sense, isn't there, that events in Ukraine are moving very fast and possibly dangerously?
Absolutely. I think you can't look at the trend lines without noticing that things are getting worse.
And, of course, we were reporting that the acting president in Kiev has called for a new offensive by government troops against those pro-Russia activists in the east. Also, at the same time, the US sending 600 troops to join NATO exercises nearby in the Baltic states and in Poland. And John Kerry warning Russia's foreign minister the US may impose more sanctions.
And Vice President Biden in Kiev today. So you've got lots of moving pieces. I think the fact that the U.S. is having some token troop deployments to NATO countries, not to Ukraine, but to NATO countries, is drawing that line clearly and correctly. But I think it also says there's something on the other side of that line, namely Ukraine. So I don't think those events will much impact the dynamics inside Ukraine.
Given such a serious threat of escalation, a situation that looks as if it could go either way, how best do you think this could be handled from all sides?
Well, I thought a good step was taken last Thursday when the four parties, the foreign ministers from U.S., Russia, Europe, and Ukraine, met and made some initial agreements about trying to de-escalate the crisis. They left unstated how difficult it would be to actually implement those steps. And we're seeing that actually the steps are not being implemented successfully. So I would wish and hope that they would get back to a serious, lengthy, four-party conversation among essentially adult supervision that would try somehow to de-escalate with small steps on either side to begin with, moving towards some more substantial steps. And maybe even it's time to start thinking about end games for Ukraine.
How much of a part do you think sanctions play in all this? Washington is talking about more. Do you think Europe really has the stomach for imposing more sanctions on Russia that could hurt Europe?
I think that the Europeans have been pretty clear that they're very interested in sanctions that don't have any consequences for them. I think Mr. Putin has taken the European measure and believes that. And I'm afraid, unfortunately, I do, though I wish it were not the case.